And what's up, everybody, and welcome back to Celluloid Psychosis. I am your host, TJ Bowser, and joining me, as always, is the very handsome, very British, the king of Salisbury himself, Mr. Paul Ashford. What's up, buddy?
Hey, man, I'm good. Very happy to be here. It's Christmas Eve.
It is.
It's Christmas time, man, and what a Christmas-themed episode this is going to be, man. I'm good.
Oh, yeah.
How about you?
Man, I'm doing really good. I'm off work today. I'm off work tomorrow. It's a little Christmas break. It's long needed, but I'm excited to talk about this week's film, one of my favorite Christmas movies. Paul, how was your week?
My week's been okay. Obviously, my girlfriend is gone. She left us just as we did the last episode. She's back in another week and a bit's time. I've been working a lot this week. Unfortunately, I couldn't get time off work, otherwise I'd have gone away with her. Been catching up a few movies, bits and bobs, but mostly it feels like I've been working all week. But one really cool thing, I went through all the special features and the extras on my Never Ending Story box set, like the giant book that came from Imprint, and almost damn near jumped out of my seat when I was watching the extra documentary and I saw myself.
You had a Rick Dalton moment.
So the movie comes with Life After the Never Ending Story, which is an amazing documentary. I know I recommended the set last week, but at that time I hadn't seen this documentary. The documentary is like an hour and a half. It's a full-on production, and it's loaded with extras, even just that disc is. And I spotted myself. Little did I know they were filming at the Liverpool Comic Con that I went to, I believe in 2020. So I think it was just before COVID hit. And sure enough, in the extras, there I am talking to Noah Hathaway on the screen. So yeah, super excited to see that, and incredible documentary. Not just because I'm in the extras, but itself. But yeah, that's my week, man. A lot of work, missing my girlfriend, and jumping off my sofa to see myself in the Never Ending Story box set. How about you?
Well, let's get into this week's film. So this week's film goes by lots of names, tons of names, actually. As listed in the episode description, it's Dial Code Santa Claus from 1989, also called Deadly Games, also called Game Over, and there's a couple other titles as well. Directed by René Manzar, written by René Manzar, starring Alan or Leland as Thomas, the director's son in real life.
I didn't know that. Also director's son, which is interesting.
Louis Ducrot as Pappy, Patrick Florsheim as Le Père Noël, Santa Claus, Brigitte Fosy as Julie, Francois Eric General as Roland, Stéphane Legros as Pillow.
Pilou. That was his annoying kid friend.
Yes. Run, Pilou, run! Oh, shit. We got a plot rundown.
Yeah. You want me to read that one out?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. Young Thomas is obsessed with action movies and video games, just like us. So much that when his mother is out, he delights in turning the sprawling mansion where he and his invalid grandfather live into a makeshift battleground, concocting and setting elaborate traps. Home alone, grandfather aside, on Christmas Eve, Thomas is soon faced with an unexpected and very unwelcome guest, a department store Santa Claus who is, in fact, a deranged maniac on the loose. Putting his skills into action, Thomas begins an all-out assault against the murderer Saint Nick, rather than risking his Christmas turning into something closer to Halloween.
Oh boy. So this movie was kind of like never talked about, and then Vinegar Syndrome did their release, a couple of years back, 4K, very, very cool. And I fell in love with it. It quickly became my favorite Christmas movie of the year to watch. Showed my daughter recently. She also fell in love with it. It is something really, really special. It blends genres, and you can't tell me that John Hughes ripped this shit off for Home Alone. This is 100% that story with the European flair. I love all the homages to the 80s action movies. I love the traps. I love the brutality. This film has heart. It's a horror movie with heart. It's It's so interesting. Is it a horror movie? It's all sorts of things.
Everything,
It
isn't it? Mishmash. A hot
yeah.
you wanna say, yeah. So,
Thanks, Paul.
my initial impressions, I'd never heard of this film.
Mhm.
You told me the title and I was like, "What is he talking about? Dial Creek Santa Claus, what is that?" I'd never heard of it. Um, I'd never heard of the well, I'd heard of a film called Deadly Games, but I think it was a different film I thought
Yes.
about. So, I'd never heard of this film. I didn't even know until you said that Vinegar Syndrome had released it. So, this one has gone completely and utterly under my radar. Um and my initial impressions when I watched it, I was like, "Wow, this is amazing." It was like I went in pretty blind, other than a few bits and bobs you told me, and
Mhm.
yeah, it just blew me away. I was like, some of the stuff you said, it's just like, yeah, it's so it rings true. Um,
Mhm.
Even though it's French, and not that there's nothing wrong with a film being French. Sorry, I'm not apologize for French, but even though it's subtitled for us that don't understand French, I was hooked from the get go. I've watched it a couple of times already, um, and it's just so well made. It's just so
It
well
is.
made. You know, it's not like a cheap B movie straight to VHS. Although I imagine it did go straight to
Yeah.
VHS when it came out, in at least in America and the UK. Um, I think it won some awards, didn't it, when it came out in France? It
Mhm.
won something. I think I want to say Fantastic Fest or something like that.
Oh, okay.
Um, but yeah, it's just amazing. The acting was amazing. Like the main
Yes.
kid,
Thomas.
Thomas, is such a good little child actor. Did such a great job. Very relatable. Well, I can't relate to living in like a castle, pretty much a castle mansion,
It
wasn't it? He
is
lives in.
massive.
Yeah,
So big.
it's funny how you say it's a Home Alone. It's Home Alone before Home Alone, but I also got Richie Rich vibes, which is
Yes.
another obviously another Macaulay Culkin film. 'Cause obviously his mum is obviously minted. He's got all the best toys.
Essentially, if Kevin was also Richie Rich.
Yeah, yeah. It's like Richie Rich was after Home Alone, was it? I can't
Yes,
remember.
but I
Yeah,
believe it's
so
based on a comic strip.
right, okay. But yeah, I got serious Richie Rich vibes just from his house and his castle. He's got like a full size airplane, like 'cause he's like asleep in his cockpit with his dog at one point.
Yes, in his father's secret toy room that's
Yeah, yeah.
in between the walls and the house that's actually
Hmm.
like this giant thing. It's really neat.
Yeah. Did they ever explain about his father? Because obviously, right at the start of the
He
film,
I assumed he died in the war?
yeah, I assumed that. But I don't. I'm not sure they
I
actually
think
said
he was
that.
like they're wealthy because of his father, and his mother's like
Yeah,
a business mogul now to keep the wealth coming. That's
yeah,
how I saw it.
yeah. Because it's obviously mentioned around the breakfast table, isn't it?
Mhm.
When his pappy, his granddad, is telling him that he's much like his mum. He's a mother's boy, or he's just like
Mhm.
his mother. And he goes, "Oh, I'm just like my dad as well." And the mum sort of awkwardly looks at the granddad, and it kind of makes you think, "Oh, it it's kind of tells you straight away you're dealing with bereavement."
Mhm.
Right at the start of the film as well. So he's
Is it said how he dies? I can't
I don't
remember
think
now.
I don't. I was going to ask you. I don't think it is. I mean, just from that scene, it kind of made
Mhm.
out that he was
It's
dead.
not focused on,
He
it's
was
just
passed
it
away.
explains that, like, this is my dad's
His
house, this
dad's
is
not
my dad's
around.
playroom. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Kind of remind almost a bit like the start of the Neverending Story when Sebastian is having breakfast with his dad, and he said, "I had a dream about mum last night." Just
Mhm.
throws it in there, and he goes, his dad has a little bit of pep talk with him. Obviously, his mum's passed away, and again, just sets the tone straight away right at the start of the film. This one, that's what
Let's talk
reminded me of
about the
that.
start of the film, that awesome opening. We
Yeah.
got some badass music, and then we get introduced to Thomas recreating scenes from Rambo,
Hmm.
and it's really
He
cool.
does a
It's
great
like
job. Yeah.
yeah, he's running around his house with his gun and stuff, and he has, like,
Hmm.
fake trees set up and booby traps, and he's hunting his dog. It's really
Yeah.
cool, man.
I felt a little bit sorry for his dog, JR, his dog, isn't it? Yeah.
Oh, man, the
He
dog is
throws
the tragedy.
he throws ninja stars at his
Yeah.
dog, which stick on him, and then he does there's like a not a catapult, what's it called? The hole in the floor that opens up
Mhm.
and captures his dog in the net. Trapdoor, that's it. So I felt a bit sorry for his dog, and obviously there's something that happens to the dog a bit later
Mhm.
on, which is I'm
One of
completely
the
shocked.
worst animal deaths in all of cinema.
Yeah, so I'm glad you warned me, I'll be honest, because you did
Yeah,
say, "Oh, there's a dog death in this film."
yeah.
If I'd seen it was shocking when it happened because it was so
Mhm.
unexpected. So,
But it
this
takes
is
that department store Santa from, like, "Oh, this guy's kinda fucked up," to, "Oh my god, Thomas is in trouble.
Yeah,
What the fuck?
yeah. Because that whole scene. Let's talk about that scene. So this is the scene where,
Well, we gotta explain why he's
yeah,
angry Santa first. So we see Thomas playing in this house and stuff, and then we get introduced to his mother character. And like I said, his mother's like this business mogul, and of course
hmm
it's before Christmas in France, and she runs like this business, this company, and I believe they own this mall, and there's this mall Santa in there
yeah,
that for some reason snaps and smacks this kid, and the mom fires this mall Santa. So this mall Santa gets all like fucked up in the head, like, oh, I can't lose my job,
yeah,
and now he's like on this revenge path to essentially get back at this woman for
yeah.
firing him. So
hmm
she like tracks down where she lives, like kills like this package, like the package delivery guy who is
Yeah,
sending Thomas his Christmas present, and fucking breaks into the house, kills the caretakers, and just rains terror.
yeah.
And it's just nuts.
So
Like the
yeah.
setup's cool. It's like the first 30 minutes of the movie's the setup, like
hmm
introducing all the characters, and then really showing this the Patrick Florensheime's
Yeah,
Santa Claus. So he's like, he looks like a normal like dude, and then
yeah,
there's this really like fucked up scene, and he's like staring in the mirror, and then he like paints his beard with fake snow,
yeah.
and it just is creepy, and it adds like this terrifying look to him, and he's just like deadpan the whole time, and he's just ruthless, fucking
Yeah.
ruthless.
I was scared.
Well, what do you think?
I was scared he was going to spray it in his mouth because it's
Yeah,
like an aerosol, isn't it? He's just there spraying it on. I was like, man, that must be going up your nose and your mouth. Must be toxic. But he
he
don't
don't
care.
care.
He
He's
just gets
fucking
going.
deranged, man.
Yeah. And there was a really cool thing. I forgot what the name of it was called, but like the little computer.
On his arm, so he has like the whole place
Yeah, but
rigged up with
he's
like
got a little
internet.
it's like a laptop thing that he
Yeah, like the
communicates
Power
with who
Glove almost.
he thinks is Santa Claus. That's how he first
Oh, so
interacts
there's like
with.
the French internet or like
Yeah, yeah,
European
it's like
internet in
I
its
think that's what the
infancy.
dial code
Yes,
365 relays to. It's some I don't know if it's French only, but some kind of weird internet thing way before the internet was a thing.
but the crazy deranged Santa is in like a public like
Yeah,
internet thing, and
yeah, yeah.
it's weird because it's
It's like a
European
chat room, but
pre-internet.
it's before the
It's like a
internet and
kiosk in the open,
yeah,
and
yeah,
he's
almost like
sitting
a
there
phone
essentially
booth. But
chatting with Thomas, pretending to be Santa Claus.
yeah, yeah, and that's kind of how that's when he finds out where his mum works, and yeah, it kind of evolves from it. But that's a cool bit of like 80s tech that I'd never heard of. I don't know if that was a French thing, European
Well, he
thing.
knows how the mom works because the mom fired him.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But yeah, it's just cool. It's just funky. Yeah, and then obviously, yeah,
And the scene when he gets in the house initially, where, like,
yeah,
Thomas is underneath the table and you
and
see
he comes down the chimney, man.
it's a good Santa Claus coming in the house scene.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I think it plays that tune as well. Do they play the Bonnie Tyler song at that point? I think they do, don't they? So Bonnie
Please.
Tyler. Let's talk about Bonnie
Mhm.
Tyler. She was huge in the UK, singer, huge, huge, huge. I'd never heard this song before. So she sings a song called "Merry Christmas,"
Yes.
and it's got this real intro. This intro of like these,
Merry, Merry
yeah,
Christmas.
and but there's the intro, which is almost like I don't know what the instrument is. Is it like a toy keyboard or like
It's
bells or
something.
something? Yeah, and it's like it's played so many times through the film, but it's not unwelcome. It's like really
Uh-uh.
cool. But yeah, it starts playing. I think on this scene, and all you see is like a pair of he's Thomas is hiding on the table,
You
and
see
then
the rope drop down and
yeah, rope
unravel.
drops down, and then like Santa Claus legs just
And
appear
there's
in
a
the
beam of light too.
fireplace.
You gotta mention the beam
Yeah.
of light that shines down.
And you're like, oh wow, this is really cool. Then this music starts playing, and it's like, oh, this is magical. This is like Santa Claus is dropping into his house. And then the kid's dog JR starts attacking. Well, he's like
Yeah.
biting Santa Claus' leg, and
And
Santa's
then
like,
Thomas is like, "Yeah, yeah, get him, get him."
yeah, and he's like trying to kick him off. Santa's trying to kick. Oh, and Santa starts kicking him a little bit, and Thomas
Yeah,
is
he
like,
kicks
oh
him.
no, 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 oh no.
Uh-huh.
And then the next thing, he just grabs like a spoon from like the
Like
table, isn't it?
a cake knife?
Yeah, was it cake or it was cake
It's
or
a
pate
cake
or
knife,
something?
but the cake
Yeah,
knives aren't sharp. They're just made to
no,
cut
it's
cake.
pretty blunt, and
Yeah.
you just see him grabbing that. Wonder what he's going to do, and then next thing, should we say what happens?
Yeah, I just
Yeah, the
alert.
next thing is just a close up of the dog's head, like the dog's head, isn't it, laid on the floor, and he just plunges this spoon cake knife thing into the dog and kills it instantly.
And
And then
immediately the movie shifts tone. Like, immediately
yeah,
the
and that's
movie's,
it.
like,
Boom.
10
We're
times
suddenly
scarier. and you're like, "Fuck, Thomas is in real danger.
Yeah.
He needs to get out of here." And at first, Thomas has the upper hand because Santa is not in his element, and
Mhm,
Thomas is like has all the traps out for him and everything right now.
mhm.
Ah, But I feel
It's,
like this movie, like that's the first time it ramps up, and then there's a second time it ramps up. You know what I mean? Whenever he goes outside,
uh, the second one that really ramps up for me, like
when he's on
real
the roof.
menacing scene. Oh, really? I was gonna say something different. I'm like, when Thomas and his granddad are trying to escape in the car,
Yes, that
and
scene's
they're
crazy.
like they showed a car earlier, and they're having trouble starting it. He's trying to help them fix it, etc. So they try to escape from the house because Killer Santa Claus is after him.
They address the car situation
Yeah, it's a
extremely early.
yeah. So he's in there trying to turn the engine over, trying to turn the engine over, and then they know Santa's coming. He just appears at like the end of the garage.
You only
He
open
just
the
like a
door, and
silhouette.
then you can see him.
Yeah, that's at the garage
Yeah,
door open. He's just there, a big silhouette, and they're
and then
like, "Start the
Thomas is
engine, start the
freaking out.
engine." And there's this really cool scene when there's a big silhouette of him at the door, and he just raises his arms
Mhm.
to show like I'm a madman. And then he does start the car, and he's too scared to run him over, isn't he?
Mhm.
Because he's like, run him over," and he's like, "No." And then he obviously walks up to the side, and then starts smashing the windows and stuff.
Yeah.
It's just like such a
And that way, that shot is, like, so traumatizing. Like,
yeah,
it's just crazy. Like, you could tell,
hmm
like, Thomas is going through utter hell in that moment.
yeah.
But he's, like, so focused on saving Pappy's life, and I believe at that moment, he takes Pappy and they run through, like, the clothing area, and
hmm
Thomas has a secret entrance to his lair in the, like, refrigerator, so they go in the
Yeah.
refrigerator, and they kinda disappear, and so Santa kinda keeps walking around looking for him, and that's kind of where when we get the exposition of, "This is my dad's secret toy room."
Right. Yeah.
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 So
Yeah.
Pappy's in this rocking chair in this secret toy room that has like this bridge and like also like this half a plane and like all
hmm
these giant stuffed animals. It's just littered with toys and stuff.
Yeah.
So at this point, Thomas goes on the offensive and starts putting up like more traps
hmm
and starts tracking Santa Claus and stuff. Like he's been tracking him this whole time, but then there's a certain point where Santa starts breaking all the cameras, and then Thomas can't
Yeah.
track him anymore. And then also we forgot to mention that he locks down the entire building at a certain point. Thomas has this like security thing he can activate, and like these metal slides go
Oh
over
yeah. Yeah.
the windows, so neither
hmm
him or Santa can get out. So essentially, you're locked in here with me. That whole
Yeah.
scene from Watchmen, you know. I'm not locked here in here with you. You're
Right.
locked in here with me. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, extremely cool, extremely cool. That's where I get my Richie Rich vibes from, with like
Mhm.
the crazy playhouse full of all the
And all the
traps and stuff.
gadgets.
Yeah,
And
gadgets. Yeah, yeah. It's just great. It's just so good. It's just so
I
good.
think we get two suiting up scenes. Like there's a really cool montage that's like shot for
Oh,
shot.
yeah. Of
Sylvester
Rambo.
Stallone suiting up, but
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
Thomas and it's cool. Like even like the face paint, it's just awesome.
I mean, there's a few cool montages in this one
Mhm.
as well. The other montage for me is when he kind of thinks all hope is lost, and again we get the Merry Christmas song playing.
But he's on the roof crying.
Yeah, he's on the roof crying, and then you get all these like slow motion scenes, like of his face of him crying, and then him remembering his fun times with his granddad and stuff,
Mhm.
and his dog and all that. And it's just like like a typical 80s movie sort of heartbreaking scene, like a montage to
But you wanna
better
cry with
times.
Thomas because it's just this little kid on top of a roof
Yeah,
crying, and he's
yeah,
cold, and then
yeah,
he, like,
exactly that.
crawls back, but he goes back to his, like, his computer room, and he starts
Yeah,
like, "How am I getting out of here?" So he, like,
yeah,
messages Pilo, and he's like, "Yo, dude!" He's like, "Shit's going down, you need to come help me." So Pilo starts making his way over.
hmm
The problem is how does Santa Claus get out again? Because he chases Pilo through the garden.
he's chasing through the garden.
Somehow the
Yeah,
metal barricades go up,
yeah.
and they go outside with Santa Claus. You think that, oh, there's finally going to be some sort of release,
hmm
but Santa Claus chases down Pilo and all that stuff. And there's like this really cool chase sequence through like it's almost Shining esque
Yeah.
because it's the frozen landscape and then it's
hmm
a guy chasing a kid. But anyway, I feel bad for Pilo. He's just trying to help a brother out.
Yeah, and
He gets
they
away, doesn't he?
Pilo does, yeah.
Yeah, Pilo
Yeah,
eventually
yeah.
gets away. But he did not need to be brought into this situation, but he ended up
No.
getting chased by like the psychotic Santa Claus, and it's a really cool sequence. I think is it a car that eventually allows him to get away? Like he's riding his bike
Oh yeah,
and it's
because
chasing him.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. Yeah, and then there's the scene of it. Obviously, his parents or his dad. No, sorry, his mum. He's communicating with her as well, isn't she? Isn't he? And she's like on her way trying to get to the house. Again, a little bit Home Alone-esque, where they're trying to get back to Kevin.
And I think Thomas goes to look at the caretakers at that time too, because he finds them dead.
Yeah. There's several dead bodies throughout in this one.
Oh yes.
And also you're going to get the scene where you think Thomas has killed him, killed Santa, and then there's like the shocking scene at the end when you realize he's not dead and he comes back again, doesn't he? And one really thing I really thought was cool when how he hid. Obviously, Grampy gets injured.
Yes,
Pappy gets injured, and
Santa does find that layer eventually. He's like,
yeah.
What the hell? Where's this kid going? So
he finds like a super cool way of disguising his granddad who's injured.
Yeah,
like puts him in the suit of armor. Then he's got like a suit of armor that stands up, and he's just in there. And every now and again, he goes back and checks him, doesn't he? He's like talking to him through the suit of armor, and he's like, "You okay,
Grandpa? Are you
Granddad?"
okay?
Like, yeah, and he's like, "Well, yeah, I can't really move, but I'm okay." Or something. It comes from the subtitles.
It's good,
and that's when we get the gun in as well. And at the end, there's a gun because it's like again, he's too scared to shoot him, and he gets the gun from him when you think he's just going to shoot him, and that's it. But he's too scared to use it. But in the end, it's actually his granddad that uses it.
Yep.
Isn't it?
And it's funny because the granddad's blind as crap, and he's
actually
funny blurry shot.
That's another bit that's mentioned right at the start as well. Yeah. When they're around the breakfast table, you kind of can tell that's going to play out in this film later because there's a scene where Grampy's trying to pick up trying to eat his breakfast or something, isn't he?
Yeah.
Or put his glasses on or something, and the camera just cuts like a real blur. All you can see is just a blur, so it implies that the granddad or Pappy can't see very well. And yeah, that's exactly played out later in the film. Obviously, he can't drive the car either because that's why the kid Thomas is trying to drive the car out of the garage. And then you get the scene at the end where Thomas is fighting with Santa, and Pappy manages to pick up the gun and then but he can't see where he's firing. You see like a blurred mess, and you can see a bit of red where Santa Claus is, and then you see a bit of a blur, a smaller blur where the kid is. But sure enough, he does fire a shot and he gets Santa.
Does Thomas have the best haircut?
Oh, easily
ever.
Yeah, easily, man. Especially near it kind of changes a bit, obviously, throughout the action, I guess. But right at the start, when he's with Pilu, and they're first on their little communication computer thing, it looks crazy, man. It's like a mullet. It's like a mullet, but it's like spiky, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's got like big spiky sideburns. It's got like spiky mullet on top. It's crazy. I've never seen that kind of hairstyle before.
He looks cool.
Yeah. But it kind of changes through the film. Obviously, after he's been running around, like it kind of flops down a bit. But that first bit when it's all spiked up, it looks super cool.
But there's lots of cool traps. Lots of like we talked about the floor trap. There's like these. What else is there? He sets up sandbags, and what does he shoot him in the face with?
Yeah, because he gets all over his face, doesn't he? Because that's that time again when you think he might be dead, but he comes back and he's
fucking burns him.
Yeah.
He lures him to the basement and catches him on fire.
Yeah.
Like, there's crazy stuff.
It's dark. There's some real dark stuff in this. Even though it starts off as such a festive kind of family film, it suddenly goes into real dark horror territory, which I think is great.
He's fighting for his life, but the only way
he knows
Pappy,
how to. He's fighting for his granddad's life. Right? There's obviously a strong bond between himself and his granddad.
And of course, he's like you said, the mom does eventually come back, but I believe she wrecks the car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right, but they do get back to her in the end. Obviously, it has got a happy ending, thankfully.
Yeah.
You kind of think Pappy almost kind of dies as well, doesn't he? Because obviously he's injured, and you think he's not going to make it.
But Thomas is like the world's strongest kid and can flip over a suit of armor.
Yeah,
with a full-grown adult man inside.
Yeah, but I mean, the acting is incredible. I was mentioning the kid is brilliant, but also. Santa himself is great. I mean, he kind of starts off as you almost kind of feel sorry. I felt a bit sorry from the start. So there's a scene near the start. You can tell he's a bit of a loner. He's like walking through the snow with like his jacket on, and there's a whole load of kids having a big snowball fight. And he's like looking. He kind of picks up a snowball and starts joining in. And then the kids are like, "Hey, who's this guy? He's not part of our gang. Let's go."
It's the
And they all
weird
just leave
old
him.
guy.
Yeah, yeah. And he's just kind of left there with a snowball in his hand, like, "Oh, why does no one like me?" But
I think
I
the
guess,
moment kind of switches when he slaps the little girl.
yeah, yeah,
He's like, "You're not Santa Claus," and he's like,
yeah. He's
"Yeah,
not.
I am."
He's a bit unstable,
Yeah.
unfortunately. But yeah, I think again though, he's trying to help. He's trying to be nice to the kids.
Mhm.
He's dressing up as Santa. He's giving them the presents and that, and then that kid rips his fake beard down and you're not Santa Claus, and it stresses him out, doesn't it? And then he
Mhm.
does the slap, and yeah, from then on he's kind of on a vendetta. But essentially, it was just he just wants to be friends, I think.
Mhm.
But yeah, it goes horribly wrong. But such a crazy character, that the actor that played him is really cool. He's gone from this like sad person, lonely person to like uh, a brutal killer, a brutal Santa killer, which is
Mhm.
great. And you get that scene when he's just spraying on he sprays his beard grey. It's just like he's just staring at the mirror like there's like no life in his eyes almost. But I just thought the bit that got me was like, I mean, if that's aerosol, that's gonna be going in your mouth, it's up your nose and toxic and whatever. But he's just there. Tss. He does a good job as well. It's not like he doesn't get up his face or anything, does he? It just covers his beard.
It's very, very unsettling, that
Yeah,
whole
yeah,
thing.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But yeah, not only had I never heard of this film, it's definitely going to be on my playlist now for Christmas. But I'd never heard that song either, even though
Yeah.
it's a Bonnie Tyler song, "Merry Merry Christmas," and it's such a cool song. And why is that song never played at Christmas? Every year we get the same songs in the UK, but I've
Mariah
never heard
Carey's
that
song,
one.
"Where's the Bonnie Tyler Love?"
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but I actually looked up. If you look up on YouTube, I don't know if you have done or not, but Bonnie Tyler's got a YouTube channel, and the official music video to that song starts off with this movie with him on the roof. That exact scene,
That's awesome.
which made me think that that's why that scene is so long, because we
Yeah.
get when he's on the roof thinking about what's happened, and the song starts playing. It's almost like was that the start of the music video, and then they've just kept it in for the movie
Mm.
kind of thing. But yeah, it's cool that she uses that because you think she maybe wouldn't want to associate with like a really dark horror film, but now it's there. And I want to say, I think I looked in IMDb, and I think the director also directed that music video, which would kind of
Oh,
make sense.
okay.
So yeah, it's crazy. Not only have I never heard or seen this film, the song as well I'd never heard of or seen. It's a good song. I mean, I think it's got over 3.5 million views on YouTube at the official video. So
Wow.
yeah, and it's used really well through the film. And I just love that intro as well. I'd love to know what that instrument that is. It's almost like bells or something that they're dinging when it starts off. But yeah, it's crazy. I just don't understand how I've never heard of this film, because this is it's up there with my what's your favorite Christmas horror film?
This probably.
You're going to say yeah. So
This
this
or
is
Jack Frost.
ooh, that's a bit out there. Jack Frost. Is that
Mhm.
Christmas? Yeah, I suppose it
Yeah.
is. So I always think like Silent Night, Deadly Night for me, but this has got serious similar vibes because Silent Night, Deadly Night is pretty dark. It's obviously Killer Santa as well, but this is more fun, easily more fun than Silent Night, Deadly Night. But they're both really good, both really
Mhm.
good. But more modern times, I kind of like Krampus as well. That's a really good
Mm.
Christmas horror. But yeah, this is crazy. I'll be watching this every Christmas now. I'm certain, and I can't wait to show it to my girlfriend when she's back. So she missed out because she's away, and I think
Mhm.
she'd enjoy this one as well because she's massive
It's got
Christmas.
all the style in the world. Like, this director's clearly a fan of action movies, and it
Yeah.
shines through in every shot here. It's
Hmm.
paced really, really well. We've talked about the music and the sound design. It's just really, really good. The
Yeah.
acting, everything hits home.
Definitely.
Everything is right where it needs to be. I
Hmm.
love that you feel for Thomas. You are scared of Santa Claus. You really want that mom to come help him and save the day. You feel
Yeah.
bad for Pilu for getting chased. You feel bad for Pilu for getting involved, but at the same time, he's kind of an asshole. But then again,
Hmm.
Thomas is kind of mean to him. And the whole thing is just really well done, really believable, and it makes you feel for these characters like a good movie should.
Yeah.
And by the time the movie's over, you're like, wow, what a journey I just went on. It doesn't
Yeah.
overstay its welcome. The movie's only 91 minutes long,
Hmm.
so like it's like an hour and
It's good.
a
It's
half. It's
good.
it's quick.
Yeah. I'm just shocked. I've never heard of it. I don't know if it's because I had so many titles. Maybe it got
Yeah, I
lost in
think
the
it's the
shuffle.
French release. It probably didn't get much of a
Yeah,
US release at all. I mean, it has like 4 or 5 different titles, which is normally
yeah,
indicative of a European movie because they try to market it the best they can in other countries.
yeah,
So
yeah.
we'll
I
get all
heard
sorts of wacky titles.
I heard Joe Bob did an episode on this
Yeah,
a few years ago, so I'd
probably
probably
for his
watch
Christmas
that.
special.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah, it would have been. Yeah. So I'm glad it's getting recognition, at least in America. Again, you've got the Vinegar Syndrome release. I don't think it's been released in the UK.
Mhm.
I think I did quick look on Amazon. There is a couple of European releases on there under both different names. Hasn't got all the funky artwork of the Vinegar Syndrome. I think it's called what was the third title? Not
Game
Deadly
Over?
Games. Game Over. I think it's called Game Over. The
Mm.
UK, well, the European version that's available to me. But yeah, they don't have the cool artwork like the Vinegar Syndrome one. Is there any good extras on that disc?
Interview with director,
Nice.
interview with Thomas,
Hmm.
extensive still gallery and director commentary, multiple storyboards and scene comparisons, archival behind the scenes featurette, a short
Nice.
film by Renee,
That's cool.
pre-trailer model shots featurette, Bonnie Tyler music video for the song Merry Christmas,
Oh wow,
the
that's the
French
best extra
trailer,
on there.
the French teaser trailer, French television spots, Italian trailer, and English trailer.
Yeah, that's funny. So I saw the English trailer on YouTube, like an English language one. It's like a real cool little short, sharp one. But
Oh, there's
I think
different
it was
artwork.
there is no English release of this film. I don't think because I've only seen like the subtitled version. Oh, there you go. That's the old artwork. Yeah, I think that's the one that's on the Blu-ray, the Game Over version.
Yeah.
That's cool. It's
This
cool they
one
put that
says
on.
3615 code Pierre Noel. That's the
Code
another
Pierre.
name for it.
Yeah, so Pierre Noël is the French name for Santa Claus, as I found out while watching
Yes.
this. I didn't know
So
that.
3615 must be the dial code for the
That's
North
the
Pole.
dial code thing on that machine, which I thought is like a telemetry
Yeah.
machine or something it was called. So
Whatever the early, I think you even see it in that Dario Argento movie, The Card Player, like the early version of the
yeah.
European internet. I don't know what it's called. I'm sure Paul should know, but he's in the UK. It's kind of
Yeah,
different.
we had pages at one point over here, but I guess you had that as well.
Yeah. Well, they still have pagers, but only bad people use them.
Yeah.
Oh, fucking A. Yeah, so this movie definitely highly recommended to anybody out there that loves Christmas movies, especially Christmas horror movies. You know, we said Silent Night, Deadly Night. It's definitely in the vein of that. It's
Yeah.
also kind of like that movie Christmas Evil,
Yep.
with like the style of the evil Santa Claus, where it's just kind of
Mhm.
like this normal guy who goes a little bit crazy and then takes it a little bit too far. Definitely in the vein of that. I wish it was more accessible. It's not available on any
Yeah.
streaming right now. Uh, I had to buy the disc in order to watch it, so I hopefully someone
It's
brings it.
it's on Prime in the UK. Sorry,
Oh,
I
is
watched
it?
it on Amazon Prime in the UK.
Okay.
But it's buried like a lot of stuff on Prime is. You have to
Mm.
search for it hard to bring it up, but it's on
And
there.
that's the UK as well, so that's a whole
Yeah, yeah.
other slew
Yeah,
of
I mean,
things.
this is definitely a film that deserves a wider release, and
Mhm.
deserves more people talking about it for sure. But I'm very glad you brought it to my attention, and it's
I'm
kind of
happy you liked it,
unusual.
buddy. Yeah.
Yeah, kind of unusual. It's an 80s horror that I haven't heard of,
Mhm.
so I'm happy to find out
I
about it.
think French stuff just kind of goes overlooked in general. It's just not
Yeah,
as viewed as much, especially by an American audience, let alone
yeah, I
UK. I
guess
mean,
so.
it's not Italian, so nobody like cares, you know?
Yeah. I'm trying to think of another French film. You think of another genre of French?
uh, unless it's Gaspar Noé, no.
Man Bites Dog. Man Bites Dog. That's French.
Mm.
That's a really good. I remember
What's
watching.
that movie about the talking dog? Like where you're in the dog's head the whole time? Is it Baxter? Isn't that
Oh, I
French?
don't know. I don't know.
Oh.
No, Man Bites Dog is about the serial. A camera crew that follows a serial killer. That's really good.
Oh,
I think that we
okay.
just talked about that. Is it Criterion who picked it up? Someone's picked it up
Yeah.
to do
No,
a release.
Imprint.
Is it Imprint? Oh yeah.
Yeah, everybody was bitching that it's not Criterion.
Oh,
That
okay.
Imprint
Yeah.
was
I mean,
good.
that is I remember the first I watched that when I was at college. I got recommended that by some friends at college
Mhm.
way back in the 90s, and I picked up the VHS. I think the VHS was a Criterion. No, it might have been It was an art house label. Not the sort of thing I'd normally watch, but I watched it because everyone's raving about it, and I was like, "Wow, this is." It's black and white.
Yeah.
Again, it's actually not the sort of film I'd watch, but it's so good. So that's the only French film that springs to mind. But this is now the second one.
Yeah. So what would you rate this out of 5, Paul?
I'm going to go. I always say 4. I've said 4 a lot recently, but I'm going to go 4 again because it's just so good. It's got something for everyone. It's not fantasy. Well, yeah, it's like a lovely Christmas movie. A lot of heart in this film. It's cool to see the toys, the traps, but it's got some grisly horror in it as well. Real menacing, evil Santa Claus. So for me, it's an easy 4 out of 5. It's never boring. It's always exciting. And yeah, if you can track this film down, I highly recommend you watch it.
Highly. So I'm gonna go 4.5 out of 5 just because it's like my go-to right now. And my daughter really loved it too. It was one of those movies where she's like, I don't want to watch a movie right now, and I put it on, and then she kind of like the phone gets put away, the tablet gets put away. And now she's paying attention, and now she's fully engrossed. And if a movie can take a modern child's attention off of technology and make you focus on it, hey, good job.
Yeah, definitely. That's really good.
But yes, accessibility is definitely a problem here, like we've been saying. But it'd be cool to see somehow it's more available to people. But anyway, go support Vinegar Syndrome and go find this release because it is absolutely fantastic. And of course, it's 4K.
Is it still on their website? Are they still selling it?
It might be sold out, but you can get it from third-party sellers.
Yeah, no,
it's on Amazon.
Seen quite a few on eBay, but I don't know if it's still on their site or not. But yeah, there is other versions available. I'm guessing with 0 extras.
The prices aren't crazy right now, so
yeah,
it's not like some things.
No.
Yeah, scalpers haven't gone. But I think that's it for the Christmas episode. I want to say happy holidays to all of our listeners. We will be back on, let's see the old calendar here, the day before New Year's. We're going to do a New Year's episode, Paul.
Yeah, sounds good to me.
We'll be back on the 31st, the last day of 2024, to bring you the last of the physical media news for this year. And then, of course, Paul and I will be starting next year, bringing you more movie reviews. And Project Louder is going to be turning a new page. We're going to be switching focus into more professional style podcasts, some scripted stuff, a little bit more educational, so maybe some politics stuff going in there. History, we want to give it more of a purpose, more of a reason than just hearing my opinion. We're going to keep some of our pop culture stuff like Celluloid, Psychosis, but start to sprinkle in some of my other passions in life. So hopefully next year is very fruitful for everybody here at Project Louder, and we can get a lot of projects underway. Maybe I can start another issue of my comic book series, and that can be finished. It's all written, Paul. I just got to get the money together. But you know how things are. Paul and I got a couple projects we've been working on. We got another couple things to still come out yet, so be on the lookout for that. We're super excited, and we're very thankful for everybody that tunes in to those live streams, who tunes into projectlouder.net, and, of course, our audio stuff. Paul, anything you want to say?
I was going to say Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, however you celebrate it. If you celebrate it. If you don't, have a good time anyway.
Kwanzaa, Hanukkah,
very thankful.
Festivus.
Yeah. Very thankful to everyone listening to these episodes. Having a lot of fun doing them with yourself.
It's time to get the pole out of the attic. It's Festivus. So, without further ado, I'm TJ Bowser. That's Paul Ashford.